living in with the kids, with Kieran. He's the kid.
So, as Steve was saying earlier, what's a modern family? Is a modern family your two mums on the birth certificate? We're always hearing of Generation Y staying at home until they're 30. I was at home when I was 18 or 19, but I've had friends who themselves were earning more than the combined salary of their parents and still living at home when they were 30. And then, so you got this one, the parents moving in with the kids. It's a reversal. And just out of interest, who here has either got that arrangement in place themselves or has got clients one of the parents has moved in with the kids, or the adult children have moved back in the parents? Just want to see, how many of you know about it. Looks like it's almost about half. With people who are involved in these type of arrangements. So where do we typically see these types of arrangements? So often, there's a few scenarios where we might see the parents and the adult children living together. One is the downsizing. The family home's been sold. The parents might be asset rich, but not have a lot of income. Particularly, what if one of the parents has had to move into a nursing home? So you've sold the family home, so you can afford the bond for the nursing home. But what's left over isn't quite enough to live, how mum or dad's been accustomed to. Also, helping out the kids sometimes. So they're in that period where they're earning a high income, they got the 3 kids, they got the school fees, they got those types of things. Helping them with that leg up, so to speak, with a bit of extra equity so they can afford the bigger home, do the renos, and the parents might live in their own area, coincide with the kids. Grandparents get to see more of their grandkids, and there's an inbuilt babysitter. That's the ideal. But it's not always as easy as you think. What's another scenario? Might be your sick parents, your elderly sick parents. So often you got one of the adult children's taking on more of the responsibility to look after one of the sick parents. They're driving every day, half an hour to the other side of town, look after the sick parent, half an hour back. They're not seeing their own family enough. So, maybe it's a good idea for sick parent to move in with us. At least that way, 2 birds with one stone. The other one we see sometimes is the children, whether it's been divorce or bad business ventures or no-hopers, move back in with the parents. We see that scenario too. When I was looking at this, putting this presentation together, I was looking at what research is available out there, and there wasn't much on it in Australia, but they talk about it a fair bit in the States. And so they did a survey, and it was surprising. I'd think I was wrong, that the grandparents, the elderly, would be more interested in moving in with the kids. But it was the other way around. It was the children who were more receptive to the idea. It was something like 50 or 60% of the children were receptive to the idea, and it was only 15% of the grandparents, that they really didn't want to let go of that control of their own life and, move in with the kids there. And look, I know when I moved out from home, suddenly I started getting on with my parents. Before that, not so good. And so, you're bringing back those same kind of issues, with this kind of family environment. So, what do these types of arrangements look like? We've seen them before where they're not documented. And we've even seen them where the parents have chipped in the money, moved into the kid's home, and not even been on the title. And so one story from a colleague at work, one of his friends. So that scenario, the mum, granddad had died, so mum sells out the home in the suburbs and moves in with the daughter. Obviously, over in West End, you've got to do some renos and chipping a fair bit of money for the renos, a fair bit of money and equity in the home to pay off that mortgage, and the daughter's boyfriend's helping out with those renos, helping out a fair bit, as in they seem to be costing a lot more than what typical renos would cost. But anyway, mum's happy, she's with the daughter, seeing the grandkids, got her own kind of granny flat there, but then the boyfriend moves in. And the daughter's boyfriend was pretty aggressive. And after a bit of time, aggressive, the fights, and starting to beat up on her a bit occasionally. And so her mum couldn't handle this. It was too stressful for her in this kind of situation, and so she moved out into rental accommodation. And then after time, the boyfriend and the daughter, they get married. The daughter's got her kids from a prior relationship. So, the granddaughters of the parents. They've got a house now in West End that's unencumbered. But it's unencumbered because of mum's money. And the problem is here, she's only daughter, and mum's relationship with her only daughter is now estranged. So she's not seeing the grandkids and not really seeing the daughter very much. And it's quite an unfortunate situation. Perhaps if they planned it out a bit better, it might not have ended up that way. But it's a sad situation for the mum. I was talking before about you've got the situation where the children might move in with the parents later in life, and so a situation we were looking at recently was that there was some acreage up near the Blue Mountains there, but apparently it was worth about $3 or $4 million because it could be subdivided, and so the daughter, there were several siblings, but the daughter and her Hope man, wanted to move in there, and that helped build their own annex and their own kind of place there. But how does that affect the rest of the siblings and the rest of the family? What could be alleged there? Well, I did a lot of the improvements. I'm entitled to more of the property. There were some secret trusts involved. I helped out with the parents' care a lot. I've got a bigger claim to the estate because there was these promises. Then we see all the time where people start losing capacity. One of the children takes it to a lawyer who agrees to an unfair will, and then you got those fights on. Was there undue influence? Was there those types of things? So, trying to deal with that situation. What about what we'll often see is just a real simple version. So it'll be a joint tenancy or something like that. So the parent is actually on the title, and if the parent dies, it automatically goes to the kid. It doesn't go via the parent's will. It's a simple way of doing it, but there's a lot of things that are unspoken for it. Just do it on the title. Then the bee's knees is doing it properly, and so that is getting the financial advice to start off with. So having a look, what are the parents' retirement needs? How does this affect Centrelink? What's the super involvement? What happens if we need the nursing home bond? Looking at those kind of areas, getting the lawyers involved, as in we're always the doomsday prophecies, aren't we? So all of the what ifs. What if this happened? What if that happened? And trying to document it in an agreement. Get the other siblings involved, the other children. So they're signing off. So you're helping them buying into the process, avoiding that big kind of conflict that could be around the corner. Nothing's foolproof, but the idea is trying to think it all out, have it on paper, write it down, go through that process where you've discussed some of those issues, and hopefully the fight, when or if it happens, isn't as bad. So, what's in one of these types of agreements? Integrate it with the estate planning. So, how does moving in with the kids fit in with the rest of the world? How does it fit in what you're going to do with your super? Is there going to be an equalisation clause with the other kids? Are you going to give some of your other kids an early inheritance because you've helped out with other children's houses? All of those kind of questions. As I said, call it a deed of family arrangement, so everyone who's in the family signs off on it. So we all agree this is the course we're going to follow. So one of them doesn't say, that wasn't fair, I never agreed to that, or you're ripping mum off, or whatever. Who's going to pay for, are the other kids going to contribute to some of the care, that type of thing. Then, of course, what if the arrangement doesn't work? There's every chance it won't. Probably more chance than not that it won't work, The parties is just not working out anymore, and one party just, whether it's the parents or the kids, hey, this isn't working, this is stressful, this wasn't what it was about, it was supposed to make life easier for us. Oh, it's too hard to unwind. Deal with that process. It's a real risk. It's probably going to happen. Deal with how you're going to unwind it, rather than there just being big fights or parties not seeing eye to eye. Your financial stress test of the children. So often in these arrangements, there's still a mortgage on the property, and the children say, well, the parents have kicked in all of that equity for the renovations and paying off some of that debt. The children are responsible for paying all of those mortgage and interest repayments. What if the interest rates go up? What if the child loses a job? Ties in with also having a look at your insurance. So your life insurance and your TPD insurance, income protection insurance, especially for the children, your 40-year-olds or your 30-year-olds or whatever age it is, are a lot cheaper to insure than the parents. But then at least the parents have still got a place debt-free if something happens to the children and they aren't all kicked out of home there. As I said before, looking at, well, how does this affect any Centrelink entitlements? Can we still afford if we need to be sent to a nursing home to go in there? Then your privacy. So you're talking, well, is there going to be a separate, it's called a granny flat for a reason. Should it have separate access, a kitchenette? Is there separate living areas? Those kind of things. Are you going to have separate social circles? What about if you told those parents about the bunga bunga parties that you hold on the first Friday night of every month? Are they going to be okay with that? Those kind of issues.
Kieran,
Yes.
what's a bunga bunga party?
I got an internet show soon, so maybe we'll look it up on YouTube or something.
Italian
Okay. Berlusconi made it famous, didn't it? So, also, do you know usual legalese stuff, that one party's not going to ask for the statutory trust that the property be sold or put caveats on there. Who's going to pay for the rates and the electricity, loan redraws? Is there going to be a maximum amount you can redraw on the loan? Can the children take, redraw on the loan for holidays and school fees and those types of things? They should be in the agreement. Future renovations, how are they going to be split up? Does that split the property percentage ownership at all? How to resolve disputes. And then also having a look at this one, there's a fair chance of creating an interdependency relationship for those super purposes. For us kind of geeks out there who try to minimise the tax on estate planning, is there any arbitrage you can get there for minimising that tax in the event that something happens to the parents? And then how do we equalise that with the other children? So there's lots of issues in these types of agreements. What's the answer? Avoid them. Or if you're going to go ahead, as I said, go through that process, have the proper financial advice, get all the parties involved, talk about all of these issues, and record it. I had someone who went through this process, and the in-laws moved in, did the renovations for the in-laws. And when I was advertising this session, I said, we were saying, well, is it a cheap babysitter, an in-house babysitter? And this person said, yeah, it's the most expensive babysitter I've ever had. Any questions there?